And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again, another day committed as being your consumer advocate. It's all about helping you understand your buying decisions here in Tampa Bay, and we want to help you win in any marketplace. And when we say any marketplace, we're talking about 80 different categories of consumer advocate content and advice here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And we got a couple of our attorneys in studio today, so we got a great lineup for you here. We're going to talk about some legal matters, things happening in Tampa Bay. Attorney Joe Cairns, welcome back in, sir.
Thank you, Brandon. And today, because we're going to be a couple days away from Valentine's Day,
yes,
I figured I would do dating tips from divorce attorneys.
Okay,
nice.
There you go. Nice. I like that. Dating tips from divorce attorney Joe Cairns here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I like that. Good stuff. All right, we got attorney Jason Kobal in the house as well. Welcome back, sir.
Oh, very good to be here. Thank you, Brandon. Today I'm going to talk about appeal rights, and always looking for them because they're usually available.
Appeal rights. Okay. Yeah, I like that. So what kind of appeals can you file?
Well, all different types, actually. You know, I have a nephew who's working with me, just graduated law school. He's about to take the bar, and he's like, Uncle Jay, I can't believe how ugly law is. And,
yeah.
And you know, a lot of people, whether you're applying for unemployment, you're applying for Social Security, disability, whatever it is, there's usually an appellate process. So if you get turned down, don't automatically think that's the end of the story and it's all over. Go find an attorney that specializes, preferably me, for Social Security disability. But the same holds true for workers' comp. Right now I've got 3 appeals pending with the District Court of Appeal, 2 in workers' comp and 1 in fair debt. And honestly, I hope to win all 3. But you know, that's what's great about our system. If you get an unfair decision at the lower level,
yep,
there's usually a way to have that looked at and appeal it. So don't ever give up.
I like that. Yeah, yep. Don't ever give up. I like that. That's awesome. So we're talking about personal injury law, consumer debt law, workers' comp, and also Social Security disability law. So we're covering a wide variety of law here on the show. Joe Cairns, of course, covers family law, divorce attorney here in Tampa Bay, based in Pinellas County, and Jason Kobal in the house as well. So we got legal talk going on the Consumer Quarterback Show. As you know, I'm the owner of the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty. Real excited. We just got the numbers in for January, and we came in #1 in our office at Keller Williams, which is the #1 office in the South region of Florida for the #1 company in the world. It's Keller Williams Realty. So if you see our screen here, if you're watching our TV show version, you can see Brandon Lindsay Rhymes there at #1 and top agents out of 475 agents in the Keller Williams office out of Clearwater. So real excited about that. Couple of hot listings I want to let you know about here in Tampa Bay. We've got a beautiful $2 million property here in Tampa Bay. It's in Port Richey, rather. 4348 Harbor Point Drive, Port Richey. This property is a $2 million asset. Beautiful home. Bring your boat. Enjoy the best that Tampa Bay has to offer in Gulf of Mexico right there as your backyard. Beautiful property here in Tampa Bay. 6,700 square feet, large home, and it's a perfect opportunity to own beautiful real estate here in Tampa Bay. It's a palace right here in Tampa. You got 2 security gates before you even get on the street, so it's perfect for the executive that wants his privacy as well. And we also have 516 Alternate 19 in Palm Harbor. Now, this is a beautiful opportunity as well for a commercial building. Let's think about it. If you are a builder, or builder developer, perfect. But also, if you are a any type of professional that wants to have your own business, your own opportunity to build your land. If you're renting, paying monthly rent to a landlord for your business, this is perfect because you have office or professional location in the heart of Palm Harbor. So it's a commercial site, and you also have frontage on Alternate 19 and DeSoto Boulevard. Current zoning allows for mixed use purposes as well. So you could have your business on the bottom and then live up top, or rent out the upstairs portion. The owner has plans in place, and there are water and sewer that are connected. So the impact fees have been paid. The owner's motivated, and you're very close to Pinellas Trail, Gulf Beaches, shopping, and more. Right here in Palm Harbor. 0 Alternate 19 is the address on MLS. Check out all of our listings at PlatinumMVPTeam.com. huge shout out to Golf Cart Depot. Big shout out to golfcartdepot.com. Check them out online. New and used golf carts available. Huge inventory. And whether you're planning it for personal use for a golf cart or commercial use like I do, reach out to Marty. Let him know you'd like to take a test drive. And once you do, these things are so fun. Lots of fun to be had. And it could be, again, for personal or commercial use. They have Easy Go, Star, City Car. And I use it for door knocking with mine. You can see my Keller Williams red golf cart there that I've got that we utilize for meeting our neighbors, getting out in the neighborhood, talking about real estate, getting out and beating the streets, as they say, working hard and getting after. So golfcartdepot.com. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. Take them up on special offers and incentives just by mentioning that you're a fan of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Follow us online at Brandon Rhymes 1 on Instagram and Twitter, and the Consumer Quarterback Show page is out there. Just set up a TikTok account. Everybody says, the TikTok is the newest social media. So we're all over social media. You can find us there. Of course, our YouTube channel, thousands of videos on our YouTube channel as well. You can see previous shows with both of our partners in studio today, our legal analyst in studio today, again, Joe Cairns. So let's jump into it. We got attorney Joe Cairns, a plethora of knowledge when it comes to family law and the divorce situations. So let's start with the number one misnomers. What are some of the misnomers that you see, Joe, and years in practice now? How many years in practice have you been?
Jeez, I've been doing this just family law 12 years, 13 years.
12 years. Okay, so you're relatively new at it, right?
Yeah.
So 12
That's what it feels like, right?
Exactly. So what do you see happening? Like, is the number one thing people come in, it's like, what about this? What about that? We always have those misnomers that pop up.
The one that we get all the time is, well, when can the child decide? And I always get this 13-year-old number that comes out there.
Yeah.
When the court's doing it, they list out 22 separate factors that they're going to consider, and how they're going to fashion how where the kid's going to be going, who's making decisions for who, those types of things. But this 13 number is always shut up. But when she's 13, she can make the call, right? I go, just like she can't make the call on what's going to be on television that night, when or if she has to do her homework, or if she gets to use the car that day.
Yeah, exactly.
If 13 was the age, it said, well, then they would vote and they would move out of the house, and it would put us back in the 1500s.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know where it emanates from. There is some semblance of once they reach a certain level of maturity, that preference, which is one of the factors that the courts to consider, is that okay, we're going to give it maybe a little bit more weight, but it's still not the end all be all. I mean, I'll tell you, if it's a 7-1, they're kids still. They will go to the highest bidder in a great many of cases.
Yeah.
I had one kid flat out say, when this is over, I'm going to get a Dodge Charger. I'm like, that's fantastic.
Wow.
I'm not listening to you anymore. So,
wow.
So there is a semblance of, is the kid doing things for, self-interest purposes? Is there a true family dynamic that we need to consider? Or is it, they're just too young and they really can't make a decision on it? Like if you're talking about a 6 or 7 year old, they may well, I don't like when my parents do that. Well, I can help you fix that, because maybe that is inappropriate, those types of things. And it doesn't have to be anything major. It can just make the whole family dynamic a little bit easier.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good advice there, Joe. We're talking with Joe Cairns here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And when we talk about family law, it gets into a lot of different dynamics. A lot of times kids are involved, and that's a challenging position to be in. And I know in previous shows, we've talked about how it's not necessarily right to say, oh, I'm going to get that attorney that's a bulldog. Really, that's going to set you up for failure, isn't it?
Well, I just look at the cases that I get. If there is, it's the exception, not the rule. And any family law attorney, if you said, well, is there someone that if the other side gets so-and-so that it's going to be a problem? Yeah. And we know them, and we know who they are. And they're the ones that aren't at our ethics meetings, or the ones that aren't. They're just going to hit the ground hard. They're going to potentially create a larger problem.
Yep.
So what you then have to do is you either get a guardian ad litem, who is someone who can represent, kind of get a recommendation to the court. There's the attorney ad litem idea, which is they represent the kids. Those are a little bit more rare. So that we can try to counterbalance that whole methodology. But sometimes it isn't necessarily the attorney's fault. We're only as good as the information, one, that we're receiving.
Yeah.
And two, if we have someone who's just going to go 100 miles an hour, we can do everything in our power to try to rein them in. And sometimes those efforts will lead to us being let go.
Right.
And they'll go on their own, or they'll find someone who's going to do what they want. They'll do what they'll find what they want to hear.
Exactly.
And they'll move forward on that.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of people are looking for that confirmation bias, almost like an inventor. this will work. This idea is going to work. No matter if you ask, it will work. And then what happens? It flops. They put a lot of money into the invention. It doesn't work out.
And I'll freely admit that a lot of times I'm telling my clients things they don't want to hear. It's things they need to hear, not what they want to hear.
Exactly.
And a lot of times my advice will seem counterproductive. Well, this person's doing all this, so I have to fight fire with fire. Well, no, it's kind of the two wrongs don't make it right. The judge is going to listen to this because he's listened to it all day in all these different cases. And he or she's going to just get angry. And just say, you know what, the two of you are going to ruin your kids' lives. And you'll hear it time and time again. And they'll go, well, he's only saying that because they did that and they're trying to be impartial. No, he or she truly believes it about
those judges. They hear it all, right? They hear both sides. They know what's coming almost by the way that they lead in with those 2 or 3 words, those few words in a sentence, and they can see the feel of the trial.
Gee, some of the times they just look through the file and they're like, oh, here it comes.
Here we go. So need to hear versus want to hear. That's one of the biggest things too, even in real estate, because there's realtors that will go and say, oh yeah, we can sell your property for this amount, higher amount than they call it buying the listing. And unfortunately, it's not realistic, and they just play that game of, well, we'll try to get a price reduction over time. But that's just one example of a client needing to hear something versus wanting to hear something.
Every case, I call it the reasonable box. And there's a marker on one end. It's like the most reasonable you can possibly be that would favor the other side in the opposite direction. If you're way outside of that box, there's going to be issues, and you're going to be upset at the end of the day. So the job of any family law attorney is to pull you into the stratosphere, so to speak, so that you're inside of what's possible. Because if you try for the impossible, and there are some semblances or instances but they're rare, where you're going to attempt to do that for whatever reason.
Right.
But if you feel like you walk out of your attorney's office like, I'm going to get everything I want, you are sorely mistaken. Unless the other side just falls on the sword, hands you everything. But that's very far the exception and not the rule.
Right. Very rare to see that. All right, we're talking with attorney Joe Cairns here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. When we come back, more from Joe. We're going to have him weigh in. I wanted to ask you about specifically how you see alcohol and drugs playing into some of these divorce situations, and also how social media can harm a case. And we also have attorney Jason Kobal coming up here, Kobal Law as well, koballaw.net. Stay with us right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Our feel-good story of the day is a good one. Finland's government has announced that new fathers will be given the same amount of paid time off work as new mothers, nearly doubling paternity leave. Stay with us right here on Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. For more information, go to consumerqb.com.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, this week we're going to talk about something exciting as usual.
We always have something exciting.
Yes, we do.
At least it's exciting to us.
This is a question that comes up.
TV, hey, it is Friday night. We're not here. Yes, we pre-recorded once again because WeBeam TV is working over in Tampa with D'Angelo Star.
The 62 Who Knew. I almost said Professional Mortgage Alliance, Joe's Bar and Grill. But actually, it's our 39th week. 62 Who Knew.
We're at the wonderful steampunk event at the Verizon Event Center here in 2019. I think it's still August, right? Yeah. Woo! Can't remember anymore. Ask him to me about
Yes. To be able to help businesses to do that part of it. But it's just been a couple of years.
Well, and I've taken the business card files from our business cards and made
entrepreneurs and professionals of Tampa Bay. Welcome to your hour for getting the information, the tools, and the connections
Ian
for
Beckles on Radio Influence.
Or you say left-hand white, and then they catch the left-hand white. What it does, it helps you quick with hand-eye coordination. Yeah.
Well, that's kind
as your super connector. We want to introduce you to our 50-plus show partners. We got over 80 categories of expert contributor advice here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, and we want to
That's
That's where we disagree, but that's okay.
I said nonviolent.
That's okay.
Because, you know, we're one of the only states that don't give them back. I've got Jamie Limbaugh. He is from the Next Step image. I love that movie because you were telling me earlier.
For the type of republic we actually are is actually very correct. Yet politicians and regular people use these words interchangeably, even though technically they are very different.
You're an overdoer, overachiever, people pleaser, we tend to neglect ourselves. And even as Sisters Connected here, you know, with Women Unscripted, I know.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, and we want to help you win in any marketplace. That's our goal. Check out consumerqb.com, a plethora of information available for you on our website, consumerqb.com. Of course, reach out to our hotline. We get a lot of calls here coming in daily for real estate, credit, finance, estate and tax planning, legal advice. Lots of ways that we can help you. Save our hotline number in your phone, 813-670-7372. 813-670-7372, and that's our consumer advocate hotline. It's an off-air number, and we're going to help you win in any marketplace, as we say. And this segment is brought to you by Taps Restaurant, the official restaurant partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Taps Restaurant over at the International Plaza on Bay Street. Excellent food, very friendly staff, and a wonderful ambiance to hang out at. Check them out online, Taps Restaurant Bar and Lounge right here in Tampa Bay. Let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. Take them up on special offers and incentives. They have happy hour every day from 2 to 7 p.m. And also, we are hosting an event there. Save the date. If you are a business owner, sales rep, marketing, in any type of business in Tampa Bay, we'd love to see you there. Wednesday, March 25th, 6:30 to 8:30. We're going to have Tampa Bay's best speed networking event. It's going to be a great opportunity to meet a lot of professionals right here in Tampa Bay. Wednesday, March 25th, 6:30 to 8:30. Come on out to Taps Restaurant, and there are tickets available on eventbrite.com. Check it out on eventbrite.com. And we are back here in studio. Our goal, again, is to help you win as your consumer advocate. We've got our attorneys in studio today. Attorney Joe Cairns, family law attorney, Cairns Family Law. More coming up from Joe. We also have Jason Kobal in the house as well, koballaw.net as well. We're going to talk about appeal rights here on the Consumer Quarterback Show coming up, as well as personal injury law and Social Security and disability law. Before we do, I wanted to touch on a hot listing that we've got in Apollo Beach, 6919 Makers Way in Apollo Beach. Open house is going on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this weekend. 6919 Makers Way. Owners are motivated. This is a beautiful open floor plan home, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, no backyard neighbor, and very low CDDs fees that are comparable to some of the other areas in the development. 6919 Makers Way, beautiful property here in Tampa Bay. 8325 West Hillsborough Avenue, commercial property available for rent or lease right here in Tampa Bay as well. 8325 West Hillsborough Avenue, beautiful freestanding office building with signage on Hillsborough Avenue. 40 to 50,000 cars a day coming by, so it's a great opportunity to own your own building right here in Tampa Bay. 8325 West Hillsborough Avenue in Tampa. Check out all of our listings at platinummvpteam.com. All right, Attorney Jason Kobal in the house, and we've talked in the past about personal injury law, workers' comp situations. Today, you wanted to talk about some of the appeal rights.
Right. Like I said earlier, there's all different types. I've got one case that was decided by the DCA, got kicked up to the Supreme Court of Florida, which is a personal highest level I've been ever dealing with. Never argued before the United States Supreme Court. But then, I just had a case recently, and a client came in, and he said, well, I don't know if I need an attorney or not, but workers' comp denied my shoulder injury, and I've been out of work because of that. And then he had a short-term, long-term disability policy that denied him that because they called it work-related.
Wow.
So on one hand, you got workers' comp saying, I'm not going to pay lost wages because it's not work-related. And then you get a disability policy saying, we're not going to give you this because it is work-related, which I've never seen before. But, got a little chuckle out of it. I'm like, all right, well, I'll represent you for both.
Yeah.
And, it can't possibly, one of them's going to lose. That's for
they
sure.
look for reason. They look for reasons not to pay, right?
Right. Exactly.
I mean,
it's a shame, though.
It is. You pay all this money in for insurance. You pay for these disability programs. You pay for, you show up as an employer or employee for, and then they deny your claims.
Yeah. Oh, it makes my blood boil. That one bothered me quite a bit. So if you're out there and you're in one of those systems, especially by yourself,
right,
and you lose, don't just take their word for it. Especially we're talking workers' comp, personal injury. These things are contingency based, so you can talk to a lawyer for nothing. You can talk to 10 lawyers if you want.
Right.
So it doesn't cost you anything. Don't go it alone, and never give up.
Yeah, I like that. Never give up. It reminds me, you ever see that caricature, that picture of the frog that's got his hand out, and he's squeezing the mouth or the neck of that bird that ate him?
Yeah, yeah.
He's like, never give up. He's got his hand coming out the mouth. But to paint the picture there. Now, so Jason Kobal's in the house. He's an attorney here in Tampa Bay, helping lots of folks related with the show, longtime friends of the program here, as well as attorney Joe Kearns in studio. So let's talk a little bit about, so you talk about appeal rights. What about Social Security disability? What are you seeing in those spaces?
Oh, man, that's a frustrating system too. We all know it's running out of money. Mm-hmm. Politicians have a lot to say these days, but none of them have a solution for fixing that problem.
Right.
But I don't know if it's an easy fix. Maybe it isn't. But anyway, the reality is the system's running out of money. Yep. And in my opinion, based on what I've seen, they are making more people wait and jump through the hoops than they should have to.
Right.
People that I know, I'm ultimately going to win if they could make it 2 years to wait to get all the way to the hearing.
Right.
The way it works is you apply, within 3 months you'll get one decision, and that's just from an in-house, employee of Social Security disability. Some attorney staff member makes a decision. You can't really. There's no appellate rights as far as taking the evidence and having that overlooked at a higher court. You just appeal that, do a reconsideration. So they're not really held accountable as much as once you get to the hearing, if that doesn't go your way, well, then you could get into the court system and appeal that. So I find that I'll get ridiculous decisions for the first 2 denials. And then when I finally get to present evidence in court and actually have a hearing before the judge, then the more fair decisions will come out. And it's unfortunate because I personally think that's maybe one internal strategy just to see, because some people can't wait 2 years.
And they give up.
Exactly.
And they get tired of fighting.
Yeah.
And these are people that shouldn't have to be fighting that fight in the first place.
And it's a tough case for the attorney because there's just a lot of dead time. I request the hearing. You could file a motion to have it ruled on without a hearing, and they'll have an attorney look at it. And those are a little tougher than winning at the hearing itself. But you get, from the date you actually ask for the hearing, you're looking at 12 to 18 months of waiting.
Jeez.
And the whole time your clients go to the doctor, you might be collecting the records and the evidence as far as getting opinions regarding the restrictions, but it is a lot of dead time for the client where they're not seeing a lot of things happen, and it gets frustrating. They're like, come on, can't you get this faster?
It's a long time. It's 12 to 18 months to wait. Yep. The only other court that I've heard backed up more is the immigration courts.
Oh yeah, I don't know much about that, but that's
I've
what
heard 3 or 4 years on some of the immigration.
I had one client, literally he was languishing there for like a year and a half.
Wow.
And you're not entitled to any court representation. It was forever.
Wow. Yeah, that's tough, man. You look at the situations that's happening. If you just joined us, I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. We're talking with attorney Joe Kearns, Kearns Family Law here in studio. We got attorney Jason Kobal as well, koballaw.net on the Consumer Quarterback Show. So, Jason, also you're talking about workers' comp a lot. We talk about personal injury law.
Yep.
What are you seeing in those spaces?
Well, workers' comp, I actually had something come up last night. I like to give you practical information, little tips that pop up randomly in my practice. A lot of people don't realize, I had a client, not mention any names, they were overpaid by the workers' comp carrier.
Okay.
Considerable, a couple $1,000. And workers' comp realized they made a mistake and they wanted their money back. The law is they can't just ask for their money back. The way they get their money back is very specific, and it's the only way they can get it back. They can reduce future lost wage checks by no more than 20% per check, and that is it. And if you're not getting ongoing checks, guess what? They don't get their money back.
Wow.
So yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that. And a lot of times, even though they know that's the law, when someone's unrepresented, they'll send a letter, oh, pay us our money back. We overpaid you. Right. But no, that's not the law. So if you have a workers' comp case and they made a mistake and accidentally paid you too much money, don't just pay them back. Give me a call. And they have to do it the right way.
Yeah. There's a lot of scenarios where that played out. We talked to one of the previous shows about a similar situation. I think it was where we had a letter going out, or what? Do you remember that one offhand?
Well, no, it's probably another cool feature that not a lot of attorneys tell their clients about, because I don't get a separate attorney fee for prevailing on these, and sometimes you got to go to court on it. There's a $2,000 advance request that you make, and what that is, no matter what, the carrier has to give you $2,000 if you need it. Like if you're behind on bills, say, your checks, you only get 66% of your average. It gets tough to live on workers' comp. You get a couple bills you didn't expect. You're behind on bills. If you need money and you could prove that you need money, you get $2,000. They get $2,000 back, 0% interest, nothing additional. And the only way they get their money back is exactly like I said, for an overpayment. 20% of future lost wage checks, they can't just take it all back. I literally had an attorney, we went to court, and they owed my client $14,000 in back pay. And they said, we'll just deduct 2. You can't do that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's got to be the limiting factor of 20%.
Yep.
All right, stay with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. When we come back, more from our expert contributors. We got our lightning round coming up as well. Top tips, nuggets of advice, words of wisdom from attorney Joe Cairns and attorney Jason Kobal here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Our feel-good story of the day, as well as an interesting one about fathers that are given the same time of paid time off as new mothers. Stay with us right here. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show. And I say, Brandon Rhymes, knock out your competition.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, this week we're going to talk about something exciting as usual.
We always have something exciting.
Yes, we do.
At least it's exciting to us.
But this is a question that comes up.
TV, hey, it's Friday night. We're not here. Yes, we pre-recorded once again because WeBeam TV is working over in Tampa with D'Angelo Star.
62 Who Knew. I almost said Professional Mortgage Alliance Joe's Bar and Grill, but actually it's our 39th week. 62 Who Knew.
We're at the wonderful steampunk event at the Verizon Event Center here in 2019. I think it's still August, right? Yeah. Woo! Can't remember
Yes. To be able to help businesses to do that part of it. But it's just been a couple of years.
Well, and I've taken the business card files from our business cards and made
Entrepreneurs and professionals of Tampa Bay, welcome to your hour for getting the information, the tools, and the connections
Ian
for
Beckles on Radio Influence.
Or you say left-hand white, and then they catch the left-hand white. What it does, it helps you quick with hand-eye coordination. Yeah.
Well, that's kind
as your super connector. We want to introduce you to our 50-plus show partners. We got over 80 categories of expert contributor advice here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, and we want to...
That's where we disagree, but that's okay.
I said nonviolent.
That's okay.
Because, we're one of the only states that don't give them back the right. I've got Jamie Limbaugh. He is from the Next Step image. I love that image because you were telling me earlier.
For the type of republic we actually are is actually very correct. Yet politicians and regular people use these words interchangeably, even though technically they are very different.
You're an overdoer, overachiever, people pleaser, we tend to neglect ourselves. And even as sisters connected here, you know, with Women Unscripted, I know
You're listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. My wife and I own and operate a top real estate team here in Tampa Bay, recently featured in Real Producers magazine and just interviewed again by Florida Realtor magazine. So that should be coming out in the next couple of months, but excited about the growth. And we are looking for realtors that want to join a team. We'd love to talk to you or anyone you know of that's looking to join a high profile team here in Tampa Bay. PlatinumMVPteam.com is the website for that. A couple of hot properties, 4207 South Del Mabry, suite number 1203 in South Del Mabry. 3-bedroom, 2-bath property here in Tampa Bay for right around $200,000, just above $200,000, I believe is the price point on that. In-unit condo, Grand Key Condominium Association right here in Tampa. You got a pool and, of course, close proximity to all that South Tampa has to offer at 4207 South Del Mabry Highway in Tampa. Also have a great development opportunity. Check out 4214 Peaceful Lane in Land O Lakes. This is a great opportunity. There's 8 lots that are ready to be developed. It has the entitlements in place. And you've also got 5 waterfront lots on Bell Lake, which is a 90-acre ski lake in Tampa Bay. Land O Lakes here. 360 feet of lake frontage on Bell Lake. 4214 Peaceful Lane, Land O Lakes. Check out all of our listings at PlatinumMVPteam.com.
Somewhere sunny and 75.
And this segment is brought to you by Infinity Medical Institute. Infinity Medical Institute right here in Tampa Bay, West Shore Boulevard, over 10 years in business. And they offer successfully treated over 40,000 patients. And they are the leading experts in bio-natural hormone replacement therapy here in Tampa Bay. Pellet hormone therapy is an option for those looking to replace and increase their energy. They offer low T therapy, weight loss plans, cosmetic services such as Botox, improved sexual wellness, and increased energy at InfinityMedicalInstitute.com. Check them out online, InfinityMedicalInstitute.com. Make sure you let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. Take them up on special offers and incentives to help you win in any marketplace. All right, in studio today, attorney Joe Kearns, Kearns Family Law in studio. We also have Jason Kobal, Kobal Law as well. And let's go back to attorney Joe Kearns here. We're talking, Joe, about the alcohol and drugs, how that probably plays into, along with monetary situations, money drying up for the family a little bit. I know how that causes a strain on the relationships. What are you seeing in the terms of alcohol and drugs? You know, because we've seen that epidemic of pills and opioids happening. What are you seeing in that case?
A lot of times that can be the cause of the divorce is the drug use. Maybe there were attempts to try to rectify the issue. It doesn't go away. Sometimes the marriage itself can be the stressor that's causing a lot of this. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's blaming one person, but the stress that's been placed on one or their perception of what's going on can be the issue. With drugs themselves, I will say with alcohol, if there is the funds for some sort of program, the success rate is pretty high. Because sometimes people don't even realize they had some sort of issue. And, when it's like, you're either going to see your kid or you're going to stop drinking, boom, all of a sudden they do everything they want. And sometimes those cases can resolve themselves quite quickly. Marijuana is something that some people have an issue with, some others don't. I will tell you that a lot of time the opinion is if it's in front of the child, there's some sort of connection between that use and the child, regardless if it's medical or recreational is worse right now because of how the laws are structured. Mm-hmm. That can be a very big issue too. Mm-hmm. I mean, ultimately, if it's a major issue, the children are being harmed by it, CPI will be involved. You'll have a dependency case, and I handle those types of cases at my office. And they can be expensive, but you are entitled to, if you are at a certain socioeconomic bracket, you're entitled to an attorney. Mm-hmm. But again, same types of things. There'll be some sort of substance abuse evaluation. There'll be, and I always tell my clients, even if it's not something where DCF is involved, you have to put hoops in front of them. You have to give them a chance to rectify what you perceive as the situation between their ability to parent and their substance abuse issue.
Yeah. And not just take the kid away and say, you're not going to see him again. Like those, because sometimes the emotions are high and that's where the mind goes. It's like, well, you're not going to see your kid, or that's only going to make the problem worse. It's going to exacerbate the problem.
There needs to be some sort of plan. Like, what are we going to do? Dependency, they put a plan in place immediately. I try to implement the very same strategy in family law. If maybe the problems aren't nearly as severe that the state's taking children away from a certain parent, but if they jump through those hoops, they do those things, great, because the goal is to have two healthy parents, not one healthy parent who's just going to constantly berate the one that they perceive as unhealthy. Then the other component is mental health issues.
Yes.
They're more nuanced. There are tests that can show with a certain degree of certainty what's going on with that particular person, that they're acting out in a certain way, or they're perceiving things in it's more of a delusion. Those can be very difficult to deal with because there isn't a drug test I can hand you. I can't just say, here, breathe into this tube, or here, give me some blood, and I can prove that the cocaine or the alcohol is in your system. They could be taking their medication. They could not be taking their medication. I mean, you hear the stories all the time. Someone who has a fairly severe mental illness, they're taking the medication they tell everybody, it's making me feel funny, I'm fine. They stop taking it, and those same symptoms come roaring back. How do you give everyone that comfort level? And sometimes it can be impossible. It can be impossible with the drug and alcohol cases too, to say, oh, well, they could do it again. That little nugget is always going to sit in the back of the other parent's head.
Right.
And there's nothing you can do about it. All you can kind of do is just look for those markers. And knowing what those markers are can be very important.
Yeah, exactly. And how to respond to that. We're talking with Attorney Joe Cairns here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. KairnsLaw.com, CAIRNS Law.com. Cairns Law here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Yeah, and so that's a challenge. You see rehab being offered out as the judge will sometimes say, hey, this would be a good candidate for rehab, and they make it where it's mandatory. And then you get government funds that are involved with that, or the family pays less money, or how does that play out?
If you're in dependency court, they can do a kind of an order for services, so there'll be either reduced cost or no cost. Now, do you get to pick your physician? Are they going to necessarily be the best? I mean, that's kind of how it works. Some of the better ones will be in the private field, but there are some very well-respected people. They're going to be running places like Directions and Sequel Care and those types of places. So there are going to be those types of facilities in places they can go. Typically, they're not inpatient. Inpatient is going to be expensive, but a lot of times they can work. And I've had several cases where they don't. Person just walks out. Really, when it comes to an addiction type issue, is do they want to get better?
Right.
It's just like you can't force someone into counseling.
Right.
They're going to sit there with their arms folded and just, whatever it takes me to get through this hour, that's going to be it.
Exactly.
But if they truly are like, wow, I'm not going to get to see my kids, or it's going to be under a very restrictive means.
Yeah.
And they start doing it. Okay, there's the carrot.
Yeah.
They start doing it and they're serious about it. And if they take it seriously, things usually iron themselves out. That doesn't mean that we're going to erase all the history, but there is something to be said for someone who can pull themselves out of that type of predicament.
Yeah. Reminds me of that movie with Adam Sandler and what was it, Jack Nicholson, I think, where he was the
anger management.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah. That showed that dynamic in an interesting way. But we're talking with Attorney Joe Cairns here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Family law, divorce law, one of the best in the area, of course, longtime friend of the program. KairnsLaw.com, CAIRNS Law.com is his website. Reach out directly on the website. Is that the best way for people to contact you, Joe?
There is a link through the website that will connect you directly to me. Then, of course, just calling the office, which is 727-683-1472. We have a dispatch service at 24 hours. We may not be able to answer your call in the middle of the night, but it will at least go into our email, and I'll see it as I'm the early riser. My wife is the one that likes to stay in the office earlier.
Yeah.
It gives us a little bit of a buffer. But
Nice.
It also means there's someone that can be monitoring what's going on if you do have an emergency. So I tell all my clients, I know that these issues don't just pop up between the hours of 9 and 5. It's usually when you're together. That's usually after work.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So reach out online or call directly, 727-683-1472. Joe Cairns, attorney Joe Cairns. Make sure you let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. What about, let's kind of shift gears a little bit. What about you ran a successful business now? We talked about 12, 13 years now that you've been working. We have a lot of business owners out there listening to this show, a lot of people that are up and coming. What would be a tidbit or an advice in terms of success? How do you get to where you're at? How do you run a successful business, Joe?
Well, when you're a lawyer, the one thing they don't teach you in law school is how to run the actual business. So if there is one thing I could certainly do is, as I was creating the business, I would have an accountant. Because while I have some semblance of how the tax system works, there is also the idea that, oh, there's money in the account. You can draw as much as you want, but there's going to be, the piper's going to be coming back.
That's right.
So my advice is to any young lawyer, you can get an account that isn't going to cost you an arm and a leg, because your business isn't complicated. It will get complicated. That's the whole idea. You're going to have employees, you're going to have all those. And as it gets more complicated, that CPA will either keep you because, okay, they're growing with you, or they will say, listen, okay, you're getting to a point where I probably can't service everything that you're doing because I'm a one-man show and you need a 4-man team.
Right.
But get somebody who knows what they're doing, because your skill set is going to be very specific.
Yes.
Get somebody that also has that specific skill set to help you with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah, find a bookkeeper. Bookkeepers, you can have a bookkeeper that's going to feed that information to the accountant or to the, enrolled agent. Like for our example with the Consumer Quarterback Show, our partner is Jake Alexander Financial. All right, good stuff. Great tips there. Any small business can take those tips.
Well, and more than that, just as you're growing, you're going to need someone to help you grow. So that growing doesn't mean you're going to just make more money.
Yeah.
You need to start putting the systems in there so that you can keep it running.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah, because there's different models. You can grow, but your profit level might not be the same as it could be if you were to do X, A, B, and C together and formulating the plan. So you got to keep an eye on the P&Ls, and it's important once you have that data to look at those P&Ls. Where can I improve? What can I do to increase profits and maybe spend more time with family and less time with clients in a certain situation if you're doing it properly? So that's definitely great advice there. Attorney Joe Cairns here in studio. We also have attorney Jason Kobal coming up right on the other side of this break. We're going to take a quick time out, and when we come back, we have our feel-good story of the day. Finland to offer new fathers the same paid level leave as mothers. Stay with us right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. Ian Beckler.
All right, this week we're going to talk about something exciting as usual.
We always have something exciting.
Yes, we do.
At least it's exciting to us.
This is a question that comes up.
TV, hey, it is Friday night. We're not here. Yes, we pre-recorded once again because WeBeam TV is working over in Tampa with Kansas Star.
The 62 Who Knew. I almost said Professional Mortgage Alliance Joe's Bar and Grill, but actually it's our 39th week. 62 Who Knew.
We're at the wonderful steampunk event at the Verizon Event Center here in 2019. I think it's still August, right? Yeah. Woo! Can't remember
Ask me about
Yes. To be able to help businesses to do that part of it. But it's just been a couple of years.
Well, and I've taken the business card files from our business cards and made
entrepreneurs and professionals of Tampa Bay. Welcome to your hour for getting the information, the tools, and the connections
Ian
for
Beckles on Radio Influence.
Or you say left hand white, and then they catch the left hand white. What it does, it helps you quick with hand-eye coordination. Yeah.
Well, that's kind
As your super connector, we want to introduce you to our 50+ show partners. We got over 80 categories of expert contributor advice here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, and we want to
That's where we disagree, but that's okay.
I said nonviolent.
That's okay.
Because, you know, we're one of the only states that don't give them back the right. Got Jamie Limbaugh. He is from the Next Step image. I love that image because you were telling me earlier.
For the type of republic we actually are is actually very correct. Yet politicians and regular people use these words interchangeably, even though technically they are very different.
If you're an overdoer, overachiever, people pleaser, we tend to neglect ourselves. And even as Sisters Connected here, you know, with Women Unscripted, I know.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here. I'm your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, published author and professional speaker. Check out our book on Amazon, Become the MVP in Your Industry by Surfing the Radio Waves. We'd love for you to check it out and let us know what you think about it. We're in studio today. We got two of our top attorneys in studio, Attorney Joe Kearns, Kearns Family Law here, as well as Attorney Jason Kobal, koballaw.net as well. Got a couple of hot properties I want to let you know about here. 2677 Pine Ridge Way, Unit D3 in Palm Harbor. This is a great opportunity to own a condo in Tampa. Very affordable property as well. Waterfront. You got views here and water views in Tampa Bay, and a great opportunity to own an affordable unit in Tampa. 2677 Pine Ridge Way in Tampa Bay in Palm Harbor. And also 2689 Sable Springs, unit number 105. This is a ground floor unit property. You got views on 3 sides, and it's another water view. So you got waterfront property here. 2689 Sable Springs, number 105 in Clearwater. Check out all of our listings at PlatinumMVPTeam.com. And this segment is brought to you by the Bill Maher Beach Resort, the official hotel partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. The Bill Maher Beach Resort on beautiful Treasure Island, filled with fantastic and generous amenities to make your vacation that much more special. Make sure you give Clyde Smith, the general manager, a call. Let him know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. Take him up on special offers and incentives just by mentioning that you're a fan of the Consumer Quarterback Show. The Bill Maher Beach Resort, Gulf Boulevard, Treasure Island. Awesome place to go hang out and have your local staycation or a vacation if you're an out of town. You can also have business trips here as well. They can host convention centers as well as weddings. Bill Maher Beach Resort. Let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. All right, every day we're going to tell you something positive in our feel-good story of the day.
Tell me something good.
So Finland to offer new fathers the same paid leave as mothers. Paid paternity leave will be extended for nearly 7 months, and a half can be given to the other parent. Pregnant women will also be entitled to a month of pregnancy leave before the expected date of birth. Finland's Minister of Social Affairs and Health, Ann Pokanen, said and reform was an investment in the future of families and well-being of families, according to the translation in the government statement. She said it would mark a big change in attitudes and would strengthen the relationships both parents have with their child early on in life. So Finland's Prime Minister Sarah Marin, the youngest prime minister in the world, said on a panel of World Economic Forum last month that Finland needed to reform its parent leave policy, explaining that too few fathers were spending time with their children while they were young. Interesting. I like that. You know, letting the fathers have some time off too to spend with their young children during those developmental years as well. That's important.
And the importance is then to time it against a really nice portion of the year seasonally. So when you have that time off, it's good time off.
Yeah, exactly.
I wasn't being serious, but you are.
Time being off. The time of that the parent is going to be able to spend with that parent, you know. But especially,
honey, we need to have the kid in September.
Yeah, there you go. Time it out. I got you. So time it out, right? Not during football season. That's like the people. I remember growing up. They would pick that date to have the the wedding when it was either Florida State, Miami, or Florida State, and people would get upset about that. Why would you have the wedding on that weekend? You know,
try getting that chapel on Florida's campus during the bye week.
Yeah,
not happening.
I bet. Yeah, I bet. Attorney Joe Kearns in studio, Jason Kobal here in studio as well, and that was our feel good story of the day. I want to go back to Attorney Kobal here. Now, when we're talking about personal injury law, workers' comp, Social Security, disability, and you also talked about appeal rights earlier in the show. Are there any new changes, anything that we need to know about in that area, those areas?
Well, I've said this a few times, but it's worth repeating, and this isn't exactly like recent, but people really need to realize as far as motor vehicle accidents in Florida, what the legal minimums are and how important is, because I have seen it so often lately, and it's so sad. I'll get a client that it's clear liability, some goofball barreled into them, rear-ended them, and they're seriously hurt, and all they have is the legal minimum, which is no bodily injury. Bodily injury is what covers, if an at-fault driver causes an injury, the first $10,000 comes out of the PIP of your vehicle,
right?
Your insurance, and then it goes to bodily injury. So if they don't have it, and they're legally allowed not to have it, and you don't have it doesn't matter how bad you're hurt. That's it. There's no, unless they have personal assets, but very rarely can you do that, or is it a wise move to do it? It's hard to collect.
Exactly. Now, let me open a question up to both of you gentlemen. When we see, so in business, it's important to have, in most businesses, and I follow a lot of the authorities, Vaynerchuk and some of those guys, on social media. It's important to be a business that's out in front, that's posting, that's putting out content. That's one of the reasons why we have cameras here in studio with the show. We're putting out a lot of Facebook content, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok now, all the different sites. But if you have a pending case, either a family law case with Attorney Joe Kearns or maybe a personal injury case with Attorney Jason Kobal here, how can social media influence the judge in those scenarios?
In our case, is probably not much at all. There's a new rule that allows the judges and lawyers to be friends on Facebook because they're colleagues, but we're not going to be airing that stuff out. Otherwise, they're going to retract the judges right off of Facebook. That's what they're going to do. So we can't be kind of airing out what's going on. Our clients can do whatever they want, but the judges aren't really looking at theirs. Now, they'll use their social media to say whether they're doing anything wrong, but the actual influence of like my social media for the judges, not really going to have much bearing at all.
But the client could put themselves in a bad position as well.
Oh yeah, and they will.
Yeah, they will. And you've seen it happen. And you have examples. Same question to you, Jason.
Man, I wish I could get in a time machine before all that stuff existed because of all the problems I see. I mean, it's ridiculous. You get clients, I'm too hurt to work. And then they're on social media bragging about, all the physical things they did that day.
Yeah.
And it's
riding jet skis or playing in we won the softball tournament.
It's like, you did their surveillance for them. Good job. We have no case.
Ignite. Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. You see it happen out there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into our lightning round here.
The lightning round!
I am so good at lightning rounds!
I majored in lightning rounds.
All right, here we go. Top tips, nuggets of advice, parting words of wisdom, Attorney Joe Kearns.
All right, I said that I would give you some dating tips for Valentine's Day from a divorce attorney. Let's talk about sending flowers to the office. If you know the people in the office, I have no problem with it. You have a rapport with them as well. If it's a very young relationship and you don't know the people in the office, I would suggest against it. Make it a private moment, because if your boss is anything like me, I'm like, who's that from?
Yes.
And maybe they don't want to divulge that information.
Yeah.
So be careful when you're sending out the flowers to the actual office.
Dating tips from Attorney Joe Kearns. I like that. All right. Jason Kobal, top tips.
Bogus medical bills. I recently had a record for my practice. Tuesday, we sent a letter to this hospital that wrongfully billed someone for something that happened on the job. And then Monday, we settled the case where she got $1,000 for nothing because she never owed the money, and that's the statutory penalty, and they agreed to settle quickly. So if anybody's getting any kind of medical bills that are bogus, and there's lots of them, I mean, it's ugly.
Yeah.
Give me a call. I can help you out. Make sure it's not on your credit, and if it is, get that cleaned up for you.
Yeah, reach out to our hotline, by the way, 813 813-670-7372 if you'd like to speak to either one of the attorneys here in studio. They offer a consultation. Can do an over-the-phone conference just to start off. 813-670-7372. You can also text that line as well if you want to text, for example, family law or personal injury law. Text 813-670-7372. We're going to put you in touch with two highly respected attorneys right here in Tampa Bay, longtime friends of the program as well here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. So I've got my nugget of advice for today, and I brought props with me. So if you're listening to the radio show, you can't see what I'm holding up. Joe, would you describe to the people what I'm holding up here?
It is a rear view mirror.
We got a rear view mirror. Okay, so what is that? Why did I carry this into the studio today? So the rear view mirror is a metaphor in a sense where when you're looking out forward in through your windshield, it's about 80 to 90% larger than this small rear view mirror is, right? So that's what you want to do in terms of focusing on things that happen in your life. A lot of people can say, oh, well, can you believe what she did to me? Can you believe what he did? Well, first of all, when you're telling that story, people don't want to hear that anyways, unless it's your mom or somebody as a family member that really cares for you. And 80% of the people actually are glad it happened to you and not them, okay? So stop carrying around that baggage. Stop carrying that sob story with you forward and let it go. Move on and focus on the future. Focus on the forward things. Focus on your 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle that we talk about so often here on the show. What are those key 20% tasks that are going to contribute to 80% of your success? That's what you want to focus on. That's what leaders focus on. And that's what successful business owners and folks that are in business focus on. So, hey, another great show. I want to thank our expert contributors, Attorney Joe Cairns. Thank you so much for coming in and dropping knowledge today on the show. Jason Kobal as well, Attorney Jason Kobal here as well. Thank you for tuning into our show and being a part of our show here. 8 o'clock, we have our 4 o'clock drive time. Weekdays, weekend show on 102.5 The Bone. Follow us online at Brandon Rhymes 1 on Instagram and Twitter. And please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Pack up some food, volunteer some time, swing a hammer for Habitat for Humanity. Lots of ways that you can be a force for good in the community. We'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at ConsumerQB.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show.